Good morning, friends. I wanted to read you a story. It's called Strega Nona, and it's by an author, Tommy DePaulo. In a town called Calabria, a long time ago, there lived an old lady everyone called Strega Nona, which meant Grandma Witch. Although all the people in the town talked about her in whispers, they all went to see her if they had any troubles. Even the priest and sisters in the convent went to Strega Nona because she did have a magic touch. She could cure a headache with oil and water and a hairpin. She could make a special potion for girls who wanted husbands. And she was very good at getting rid of warts. But Strega Nona was getting old, and she needed some help to help keep her little house and garden. So she put up a sign in the town square. And Big Anthony, who didn't pay attention, went to see her. "Anthony," said Strega Nona, "you must sweep the floor, wash the dishes, weed the garden, pick the vegetables. You must feed the goat and milk her, and you must fetch the water. For all this, I will give you 3 coins and a place to sleep, and enough food to eat." "Oh, grazie," said Big Anthony. "The one thing, though, that you must never do," said Strega Nona, "is you must never touch the pasta pot. It's very valuable, and I don't let anybody touch it." "Oh, see, yes," said Big Anthony. So the days went by, and Big Anthony did his work, and Strega Nona met with the other people who came to see her for headaches and husbands and warts. Big Anthony had such a nice bed to sleep in next to the goat shed, and he had enough food to eat. One evening, when Big Anthony was milking the goat, he heard Strega Nona singing. Peeking in her window, he saw Strega Nona standing over the pasta pot. She sang, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me some pasta, nice and hot. I'm hungry, it's time for sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up." And the pasta pot bubbled and boiled, and suddenly it was filled with steaming hot pasta. Then Strega Nona sang, "Enough, enough, pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot. So simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day." "How wonderful," said Big Anthony. "That's a magic pot for sure." And Strega Nona called Big Anthony in for dinner. It was too bad, though, because Big Anthony didn't see Strega Nona blow 3 kisses to the pasta pot. 3 kisses to the pasta pot. And this is what happened. The next day, when Big Anthony went to the town square to fetch the water, he told everybody about the pasta pot. And naturally, everybody laughed at him because it sounded so silly. "A pot that cooked by itself? Yeah, right, Anthony." "You better go and confess to the priest, Big Anthony," they said. "This is such a lie." And Big Anthony was angry, but that wasn't good enough thing to be. "So, I'll show you," he said. "Someday I'll get the pasta pot, and I'll make it work, and then you all will be sorry." That day came sooner than later, and Big Anthony was so excited. 2 days later, Strega Nona said to Big Anthony, "Anthony, I must go over the mountain to the next town to see my friend Strega Amelia. Sweep the house, weed the garden, feed the goat, milk her, and for your lunch there's some bread and cheese in the cupboard. And remember, do not touch the pasta pot." "Oh, yes, yes, Strega Nona," said Big Anthony. But inside he was thinking, "Now's my chance." As soon as Strega Nona was out of sight, Big Anthony went inside. He pulled the pasta pot off the shelf and put it on the floor. Now let's see if I can remember the words, said Big Anthony. Big Anthony started to sing. Bubble, bubble, pasta pot. Boil me some pasta, nice and hot. I'm hungry, it's time for sup. Boil enough to fill me up. And sure enough, the pot bubbled and boiled and began to fill up with pasta. Aha! Said Big Anthony, and he ran to the town square and jumped on the fountain. Everybody, get your forks, get your plates and your platters and bowls. Pasta for everybody at Strega Nona's house. Big Anthony has gotten the magic pot to work. Of course, everyone laughed, but they ran home to get forks and plates and platters and bowls. And sure enough, when they got to Strega Nona's house, the pasta pot was so full that it was beginning to overflow. Big Anthony was a hero. He scooped out pasta and filled the plates and platters and bowls. There was more than enough for the townspeople, including the priest and the sisters from the convent. Some people even came back for 2 or 3 helpings. The pot was never empty. When they all had their fill, Big Anthony sang, Enough, enough, my pasta pot. I have the pasta nice and hot. So simmer down my pot of clay. I'm not hungry till I'm hungry another day. But alas, he didn't blow it 3 kisses. He went outside to the applause of the crowd. Big Anthony took a bow, and he was so busy listening to the compliments of everyone that he didn't notice that the pasta pot was still bubbling and still boiling until a sister from the convent said, Oh no, Big Anthony, look! The pasta was pouring out of the pot all over the floor onto Strega Nona's house, and it was coming out the door. Big Anthony rushed inside and shouted the magic words again, but the pot just kept boiling. He took the pot off the floor and put the pasta but the pasta just kept pouring out. Big Anthony grabbed the cover and tried to put it on the pot, and he sat on it, but the pasta raised the cover and Big Anthony as well, and it spilled all over the floor of Strega Nona's house. Stop! Said Big Anthony, but the pasta did not stop. If someone hadn't grabbed poor Big Anthony, the pasta would have covered him up. The pasta had all but filled that little house. It went out the windows and through the doors. Pasta came everywhere. The pasta pot just kept on boiling. The townspeople began to worry. Do something, Big Anthony! Big Anthony sang the magic words again. But without the 3 kisses, it did no good. By the time the pasta was on its way down the road, all the people were running to keep away from it. We must protect our town from pasta, shouted the mayor. Get mattresses, tables, doors, anything. We need to build a barricade. But that didn't even work. The pot kept boiling and the pasta just kept coming. We are lost, said the people, and the priest and the sisters from the convent all began to start praying. The pasta's going to cover up our town. It certainly would have, but Strega Nona came down the road from her visit. She didn't have to look twice to know exactly what happened. There she is. She sang the magic song and blew the 3 kisses. And with a sputter, the pot stopped boiling and the pasta came to a halt. Oh, grazie! Thank you, Strega Nona, the people cried. But then they turned on poor Anthony. String him up, said the men. Now wait, said Strega Nona. The punishment must fit the crime. And she took a fork from the lady who was standing nearby and held it out to Big Anthony. All right, Big Anthony, you wanted pasta from my magic pot, Strega Nona said, and I want to sleep in my bed tonight, so you better start eating. And he did. Poor Big Anthony. I hope you liked the story.